Purpose is, I think, a very hot topic at the moment. I think a lot of people are complaining about not having a purpose. And I think this is a problem in a lot of people's lives today. Because when we're not finding meaning in our life, we start looking for other things to fulfill ourselves. We're trying to fill this hole, this sense of lack of meaning in our life. And we turn to distractions such as porn, video games, junk food, drugs, alcohol, social media, everything to try and numb this pain for lack of meaning. And I'm certain that this and depression is linked together. The reason depression is so massive in today's world is because we lack purpose. We lack meaning in our lives. So in this video I'm going to talk about purpose and my story about finding my purpose and how my thought processes are going and what I think we need to do to be able to find our purpose. So when I was younger, I used to be so stressed about not having a purpose in my life. I was chasing meaning, and I have been chasing meaning for as long as I can remember. It's like I was so bad at keeping jobs that I didn't like just to get money so that I could get by. I could not do that, and I thought there was something wrong with me when I was younger, because I looked at my friends and all of them, they could keep jobs and they could work and they could gain money and they could, buy things and stuff like that. And I could never seem to do that because I was miserable working jobs I didn't like. I've always been this type of person that had to do something meaningful and something fun. And of course, this can be a little bit detrimental too, because I used to put things off that I didn't think was meaningful or fun. It's like paying the bills, things that I didn't like, I procrastinated because I was looking for meaning. I was looking for more purpose in my life, to do things that I was going to be fulfilled by. So everything that did not fulfill me, I procrastinated and I put them off, which obviously was the reason why I felt so depressed for a while. I was depressed for a long time. I had panic attacks, I had anxiety attacks. I struggled with depression because I was lacking meaning. I felt like I was lacking purpose in my life, and I procrastinated everything that I didn't think was fun, but might have been necessary to do for a good life. But I had no energy to do it because I was lacking so much purpose. So I just felt so hopeless, I remember. I felt like life was so meaningless because I was obviously lacking meaning, right? But I was so stressed about finding out something to do with my life. But in the meantime though, I was distracting myself with playing video games and doing things to fill this sort of hole that I think a lot of men, especially men, are striving for. I think a lot of men are striving for mission. A lot of men are striving for contribution, to make a community better somehow, to contribute to a better world or a better society or a better community. I think that's a human sort of need, right? Belonging. We're longing for belonging, right? But I think it's more important for the masculine in a way that we need a direction. We need something to engage in. We need a group to feel, we need to feel a part of something. And I think it's very important for the masculine to have a purpose and a mission to be able to engage in, because it makes it somehow that specific thing is more important than ourselves. Like that thing is bigger than ourselves. And I was lacking this for such a long time. I was constantly rehearsing this issue about not finding things meaningful. I was constantly looking for things to pursue, but I couldn't find anything that I felt meaningful enough. So I was distracting myself for such a long time with video games. And video games is a good distraction because it mimics this dopamine release that we get from achieving goals and doing things of meaning to us. And that's why video games are so addictive to men, because it mimics this need for us to be able to strive for something, to have a mission and a direction. And I was completely stuck in video games for a long time. And I was stressing myself to death. I remember I couldn't sleep. I was having issues sleeping, and I was being so depressed and anxious. I was just lacking purpose. But one day, it all came to me, because we make purpose this grandiose thing that we're supposed to find externally somehow. It's supposed to be something external that we add to our life, and then all of a sudden everything is going to be solved. We're going to find meaning in a way. And the problem is that when we start looking for purpose on the outside, we will never truly find it. Because most of the time, purpose is something that we have been loving doing as a kid. We've loved doing something as a kid, or we've been good at something our entire lives, and we have had this sense of, I'm good at this, I know this, I want to pursue this naturally. But we tend to want to make it more difficult than that. We tend to want to make it into something grandiose, like something massive. And it doesn't have to be that hard. And I remember a specific day, I was out walking with my best friend in Sweden, and we were just walking there. It was a time after my spiritual awakening, and I had just started getting into psychology and learning more about myself. I started getting very interested in self-improvement. And one day we were out walking, and I just said to him, I'm just going to become a personal trainer. And he just, bro, you need to become a personal trainer. And then that's when it clicked. I wanted to educate people into living better lives. So it wasn't necessarily becoming a PT that was my purpose in a sense, but to coach people into living healthier and better lives, right? And I've always had this sense in myself that I want to lift people up. I want people to feel good around me. And I've always been that way. I've always cheered people on. Even when I played soccer when I was a kid, I was always cheering people on. I wanted people to succeed, and I wanted people to score and do well. And I've always had that within me. So I love to lift people up and spread good energy and just be that guy, you know, that increases the vibe in people. But I was looking for this purpose outside of myself for such a long time that I forgot to look within. I was looking externally to find meaning instead of looking inside. It's like, what am I actually good at? What am I naturally drawn to? What are my values? How do I see the world? How do I want to make people feel around me? You know? So instead of looking for purpose outside of ourselves, we simply just have to turn inward. It's like, what have you loved doing ever since you were a kid? What have you been good at? What do you love doing? What does the world need? And what can you make money off of? All of these four. What are you good at? What do you love doing? What does the world need? And how can you make money off of it? If you can combine these four, then you will be onto something massive. It just takes a little bit of time though. And when we finally find our path, it's gonna reveal itself slowly. It's not gonna be like this massive insight. It can be, maybe. It felt like a massive insight coming to me when I said that I wanted to become a PT. It was like a lightning strike into my mind. I was like, oh, of course I'm gonna become a PT. It's like, I need to be a trainer. And then I pursued that and I became a trainer. But as I pursued that, it changed. I started realizing that, oh, being a PT is just a stepping stone for me. It's not the end destination. And just doing this is not my end destination either. Our purpose is always going to change and shape into a direction. But as long as we have a vision about where we want to go, it's like, I want to go in this direction right now. It feels right. It feels like I'm meant to do this, you know? When we have that feeling, then we know that we're onto something massive. Because that feeling that purpose creates is reason. Reason. Reason is meaning. It creates this sense of, I am meant for this, and I'm good at it. I'm supposed to be doing this somehow. I know inside of myself that I'm supposed to do this. That feeling, can you feel what I'm talking about? That sense of feeling? Can you try and see if you can tap into that feeling right now? You are meant for this. What does that feel like? Reason. What does that feel like? Because when we tap into that, our life is going to change like crazy. And we're going to start attracting things to us more naturally as well. Because when we are on the right path, when we feel reason, when we pursue purpose, then everything that we want, everything that we desire is going to become so much more easily attainable for us. It's actually going to be like a magnet. We're going to attract it. We're going to pull things towards us instead of us having to chase something. So when we chase goals with purpose, it's not going to feel like we're chasing anything. We're actually going to be pulled towards it. We're going to be pulled into a better future when we pursue something of reason, meaning, purpose. So by this simple realization that we don't need to look externally for purpose, we simply have to turn inward and relax, you know? Can you relax into your purpose? What are you naturally good at? What are you naturally drawn to? You know? It doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. It simply have to be something that you are passionate about. Pursue those things. Because you will realize when you start tapping into the emotion of reason, all these tendencies to wanting to distract yourself with bullshit that doesn't matter will fall away. You don't have to get rid of your bad habits necessarily when you're pursuing something of meaning. Because those things, or that thing, becomes more important. You realize that the fulfillment you get from that is what you have been chasing from distractions. And it's so much more profound. You realize that this hole, this sense of lack that you have been trying to fill with distractions, porn, video games, junk food, drugs, is the thing that you are progressing towards. And here's how you find your purpose as well. It's about finding something in your life that you find meaningful. It can be going to the gym. It can be making music. It can be writing. It can be building a business. It can be becoming a mother. But something that you find meaningful, and you start progressing towards that. You progress towards something meaningful. In that progress, you will find purpose. And like I said, we can have multiple purposes throughout our life. It's gonna change. Purpose is changing all the time. It's shifting. It's not stagnant. It's not staying as it is. It's always moving and shifting. But as long as you know what path you want to take, what direction to walk in, and progressing on that path, then you will find your purpose there. And if you're in a place where you have had a purpose and you're finding yourself becoming tired of it, it's time for a new chapter, you're changing something in your life, then we simply have to learn to be patient. Because purpose is gonna come. Something is gonna come into your life that you find meaningful. But by simply practicing patience and trust, those two things are very powerful. Patience and trust. Trusting that the future is bringing something great. And being patient in the moment at the same time. So conclusion, stop looking externally for purpose. It can only be found inward. And when you do, you will fill this sense of lack that you're feeling. The reason that you're jerking off to porn. The reason that you're playing video games every day. Or doing drugs, or drinking alcohol, or eating junk food. This lacking hole that you're trying to fill with that is going to be filled with purpose. And you find purpose by progressing towards something meaningful. And you will know when you find your purpose, because it's all going to make sense. You don't have to walk around and guess, is this my purpose? You will know it straight away, because it's simply who you are meant to be. It's why you were put on this planet. It's your true expression of who you are in this avatar that you're playing. So by simply tapping into what is creating reason, what is creating this emotion of, I'm gonna fucking do this, and I'm meant for this. What is creating that emotion in you? When you start finding that, then you will know that you're onto something very great. But if you are interested in finding your purpose, I offer coaching, so click the first link in my bio, it's a calendar link, and book a free clarity call, and I will help you out on your way towards self-realization and finding your purpose. I've also got a community, it's the second link in the description. Apply for the community. I got free courses, free material for you to take part in, and we're just creating a good community with like-minded people that wants to grow. And if you got some value out of this, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.